That's all the speakers that we had listed. Now, I had 2 sets. Did anyone else sign? Oh, hang on just one second. I've got 2 sets of comments that I was asked to read. One, the gentleman's having trouble focusing with his eyes, and the other wanted to be anonymous. I'll go ahead and kind of take a break. I'll read those 2, and then if there's anyone else that wants to speak, we'll start back up with speakers after that. Is that good with everybody? This set of comments was submitted by Robert Williams, and he asked that I read these. I believe it's fair to say you said you were having trouble focusing tonight, and I'm afraid you wouldn't be able to read these. So these are from Robert Williams. To whom it may concern, I've attended CCS school board meetings, submitted 18 Freedom of Information Act submittals to CCS, spoken to the school board at their meetings under citizens' participation, sent emails to CCS board members providing suggestions and advice, especially on how to recruit a new superintendent, and wrote and published many articles about issues and problems at CCS. One thing in common about all of this is the CCS board has basically ignored everything, denied everything, refused to admit there are any problems, or just said and done nothing or close to nothing. About the only thing that I can see that the CCS board implemented from all of this was that they are required to recite in their motion to go into closed session the chapter and verse of the North Carolina General Statutes that apply to the specific purpose of going into closed session. I advised them by email that if they did not follow that law explicitly, what they did behind closed doors could be more easily overturned by the courts. The superintendent or board chairman must have consulted the CCS attorney about this and made sure the law in question was strictly followed before going behind closed doors to select a new superintendent. From that controversial selection process, perhaps I should not have told them about that law. During my extended and detailed research on CCS, I also discovered that the CCS board goals, as posted prominently on their website, are in many cases too generic to follow in any measurable manner, outdated and not consistent with what most Cleveland County citizens expect the CCS board to actually do. I suspect the existing board goals were developed for the purpose of posting something on the website, and no attention was ever paid to those original goals. So I took it upon myself as a concerned citizen under the U.S. Constitution to develop a suggested revised draft of those board goals in such a manner in which, if followed in detail, would tend to eliminate a number of the various issues and problems at CCS, as well as provide a better program and process for ranking teachers and educating our children. Of course, revising board policies to implement revised board goals may also be necessary. I provided copies of a draft of my suggested 2014 revised board goals for consideration by the sponsors of this town hall meeting for providing input to the CCS Board of Education. Of course, this draft could easily be modified to include anything else that town hall sponsors come up with from this meeting. Especially want to thank sponsors, Landmark Baptist Church, and the other sponsors of this town hall meeting for the opportunity to make public the ideas and suggestions of concerned citizens, parents, and teachers for improvement of our school processes that have been previously ignored by the present majority of the CCS Board of Education. Hopefully my suggestions, as noted herein and attached, will be a helpful step forward in this regard. Robert A. Williams. He's included this is a proposed set of Cleveland County Schools Board priorities and goals. So we'll submit that in with the minutes. The second one is anonymous. I've read enough of it to know why it's anonymous, but and I think you'll see that when we get through it. And so I've not read every word, so if I stumble on something, it's not necessarily the author's fault. It's probably mine. Dear ladies and gentlemen of the Cleveland County School Board, thank you for agreeing to hear my comments and concerns. I understand that it was not an easy task to get this meeting approved and that there have been threats of legal action since its approval. It's very sad that there are people working within our school system who are that afraid of being questioned about their tactics. They obviously do not have good reasons for their behavior, or they wouldn't be so afraid of explaining themselves. First, I would like to say that I do not believe in zero tolerance for our young people. I know of some male students who got into trouble for shooting an airsoft pistol down through the woods on school property around 5 or 6 p.m. after ball practice one day. All of the boys were model students, never been in any trouble, and they were just being boys. The zero tolerance policy caused these young men a lot of hardship. What bothers me the most is that the faculty and staff are not held to the same high standard. It seems to me that our school system is running a do as I say, not as I do disciplinary system. We have students sign banners stating that they are against bullying, and then we hang them proudly in the hallways of our schools to remind everyone that we have a zero tolerance against bullying. We have a zero tolerance against bullying until a parent dares to ask a coach the wrong question. Then the coaches are allowed to rant and rave and snore and tell the dad that they have no right to go to the principal when they didn't get a satisfactory answer from the coach. I've even had a coach accuse me of attacking him because I went to the principal and then went on to call me out by saying that I should be a man, come to him face to face. He yelled and showed out on the phone so bad that I did not feel comfortable letting my son go to his practice until I spoke with an assistant principal who assured me that my son would be safe and nothing would be said or done to him. When I spoke to the principal about what happened, he made light of it and said, and I quote, "Well, it's really your word against his." My response was, did he deny that it happened the way I said it happened? The principal would not answer that question. So what happened to the zero tolerance policy against bullying? That was a very clear example of that coach trying to bully me into keeping my mouth shut. So it's okay for the adults to handle their problems, a loud voice and bullying tactics. But if a child acts like a child, then he or she is punished for it. The real world is not based on a zero tolerance policy. Each incident is handled on a case-by-case basis where the evidence is heard and a decision is made based on that evidence. It is not my intention to offend anyone by my comments, but rather to make you think and consider that maybe there is a room for improvement. One other thing before I close. There is something called No Child Left Behind, where every child deserves the opportunity to learn the same as any other child. Why does that not apply to sports? Please take the politics out of school sports. Let every child try out, and for a non-biased coach who knows the game he's coaching and who is truly looking for the best athletes, not a coach who will receive a favor from a dad and give a child a spot on the team in return. Yes, this does go on. I've been propositioned myself. Also, please attempt to get coaches who know the sport they coach and not just who will agree to do it for the extra money. I wonder what the ratio is for academic scholarships versus athletic scholarships. I think it is equally important not to leave a talented athlete behind as it is. I think it is equally important not to leave a talented athlete behind as it is to not leave a child struggling in academics behind. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope and pray that my comments do not offend anyone, and that they open some eyes to the issues that I and many other parents feel there is room for improvement on. How many other folks do we have? Michael Green.
Good evening, everyone. How are you all doing? I have a couple of basic questions. We're here because we're concerned, every one of us. We have an issue on our minds, and it may not be the same issue for every person. We also have a desire to see that our children get the best that this county and school system has to offer, no matter where they are. But what's best for you doesn't necessarily mean it's best for the county, according to the way certain people think. I'm not here to complain. I'm a former teacher, taught for 20 years. I didn't teach here. I didn't have the privilege of teaching in this school system. I taught in Brooklyn, New York. I used to call it the armpit of the world, but I enjoyed it. I liked it. I love the children, and I know what it takes to be a teacher. Every teacher that I've met has to follow certain and have with them certain qualifications. They're the most over-educated and underpaid people I know. cannot stand before a child unless you at least have your bachelor's, and most have masters. Yet they pay you less than some people or get paid to take out your garbage. Everything changes. I did not have the privilege of being here at one time, but I've been told that at one time, this community was thriving. That if you went to Main Street on a Friday night, it was packed. That there were people wall to wall. There were factories running. People were happy and satisfied. It was the 2 chickens in every pot, the car in every garage, that the American dream we all saw. That's gone. That has changed to the point where we are scrambling to find the funds to educate our children. Now, I'm not calling for a wholesale reclamation of what's happening. I'm only saying that the people in this room need to be just as accountable as the people they elect. What good does it do to rant and rail if the same thing happens year after year? I'm not going to be anonymous. My children go through the school system, they're matriculated through, and they're still matriculated through. But I found one thing that I've noticed. I found the people here to be genuine, I find the teachers to be exceptional, and I find the children to be worthy of our best efforts. We need a system so that the children don't fall through the cracks. I was at a banquet a couple of nights ago for people who have achieved. They have 4-point goals, almost all of them. They were getting awards. And when I polled the people, I found out that none of them wanted to come back here. Not one. We are always talking about people who fall through the cracks. Ladies and gentlemen, those children who fall through the cracks stay here, unsupported, unhelped. The ones who succeed are gone. They don't want to come back. And that disturbs me because I know they're good kids and they're leaving a good system. Now, if you're all happy, if you're all content the way things are, then I'm sorry, I'm wasting your time. But it is my feeling and my honest belief that we have to get rid of the disconnect. The disconnect between ourselves, the disconnect between the board and the students, the disconnect between us and our teachers. We need to find ways to give our children everything they deserve, from Kaiser down to Kings Mountain. Leave nobody out. Now that's my belief. And I really believe it's also yours. Our children come first. Our children are the ones that we're talking about tonight. Let's do all we can for every child that is in this system. I'm sorry about to do that.
There is one gnat flying around this here. And the next speaker is Brenda Melton.
My name is Brenda Melton. I'm not a very good speaker, but I've got something on my mind. I am a Burns fan, and it seems to me that we had a meeting at the school board, and our spokesman got up and said, there's a lot of people around here that has forgot about a school in the upper end of the county called Burns. And let me tell you, it's a wonderful school. My grandson will be a senior there. But what I want to talk to you tonight about is these transfers that's leaving our school to go play football at Shelby and Crest. That really upsets me. I know we lost a great coach, Matt Bean, and I'm just as sick about it as anybody at Burns. But we've got a new coach now, and he's got great credentials. But we've had some boys to leave our school to go to Crest and Shelby, and they don't live in the Crest and Shelby district. And I approached one of the school board members, and he's not here tonight. And I asked him why. He said, well, this boy didn't think he was going to get to play. And I said, look, the season's not even started. How do you know he's not going to play? And he changed his tune then. But I think it's sad that that the school board is sitting here and letting our boys transfer to Crest and Shelby when they live in the Burns district. And that's all I got to say.
Well, that's all the folks that had signed up. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Ms. Grant?
Hello, everyone. I know you're tired and so patient, and you look so beautiful out there because it's good to see people that are concerned about our young people. A lot of people like to say young people are our future, but I see some gray hair like me, so young people are our now, and that means young adults plus the kids that are in school. The one thing I just wanted to say sitting here is that I'm a little bit disappointed not to hear from more teachers. And I'm glad to hear from the teachers that were here. Teachers are the front line, just like in a war. And if we don't hear from them, then we really don't know what to do for our students. I was a teacher. I taught middle school. I had 35 children in my classroom. And I've told people this before, you don't want to go there in Cleveland County. You've got a wonderful opportunity. Nothing is perfect, but the reason I said that about not hearing from more teachers, the one thing I would like taken away from this, and I guess I'll have to insist and write a lot of letters and make a lot of noise, is there should be a method for teachers to be heard anonymously. There should be a suggestion box, a concern box in every high school that is collected by the school board so that they can hear what needs to be done. Because the school board also represents us to the state. That's why the state makes decisions that just sound crazy in the classroom, because again, there is this big disconnect. We need to hear from our teachers and parents and grandparents, the people who do homework every night. I have 4 children that have gone through this system. I have 3 that are still here. I am doing Algebra 2 3 times. This is the 3rd time, 3rd child that every night I'm doing Algebra 2, okay? These are the voices that need to be heard, and there has to be a way for them to be heard on a regular basis where there's no fear of reprimand, no fear of any harshness, like that letter said. There should be no bullying for adults either. And so I would just like to suggest, and actually I'm going to do more than suggest, I'm going to insist, because I'm a taxpayer, that there's a way for our teachers to be heard and our parents to be heard. And as we've learned from this gathering, it's not going to be all bad news. They're going to have praise reports. They're going to say, this works here. Can it work at the other school? I did have a comment about things being equal at all the schools. I don't know why ROTC is not in all the high schools. My daughter wants to be in Air Force ROTC, but she can't because it's only at one school. What is that about? It's, again, a lost opportunity. So that's my suggestion, that the voices are heard, not only heard, listened to, and adhered to. 9 people on the school board cannot possibly have every good idea for the entire county. The teachers are brilliant, the parents are knowledgeable and loving, the people that got up here that have gone through the system, and the children that went through the system, they love this system. They want it to be the best. Not the best just in North Carolina, but the best, one of the best in the country, and we have the ability to do that. And so, like I said, I'm going to insist that a way be created for voices to be heard and adhered to. Thank you.
Kind of what I have, I've got just 3 or 4 questions that I was going to pose to the group, kind of as a survey type question that may be of benefit to the board, but I want to give everyone a chance to speak if they wanted to speak. You're just dying to get up here and speak your 3 minutes. Now's your chance. Yes, ma'am.
Can I speak to back here? Don't make me
Let me get you a microphone so we can hear.
I told my husband I could do this, but I didn't.
This is on. I am a newly retired teacher at Cleveland County Schools after having taught 34 years in Cleveland County. My husband and I are brought up at Cleveland County Schools. Our 3 children are. Miss Milton Leroy Burns is great. I teach at Crest. My husband teaches at Crest. My 2 oldest went to Crest. Burns is awesome, but they can all be awesome. There are good teachers at every school. But to address what Ms. Grant said, the reason, since I'm retired, you can't hurt me, there are many teachers who would be here tonight if they weren't afraid. And I'll tell you, that
Tell me in the last week and a half that very same word.
Well,
Thank you for saying that.
well, and if I have to come out of retirement in the school board fire school, sorry. I love Cleveland County Schools. I've loved until, and it's not the school system, it's just education has changed so much from when I began teaching 34 years ago. With 33 fifth graders in my class, I saw her every day, and I was in heaven because I didn't know any better. And parents supported everything that if I would send a note home, they would take care of us, or we would work together. Now, if I call and say, hey, I'm having a problem with Johnny, well, it's your fault. You're in charge of him. When he's with you, it's your deal. I don't have to worry about that. And that's just so different. I am heartbroken at what society has done as far as respecting teachers, what you said about respect, and it's not just the teachers, it comes from parents and student attitudes and all that. I don't know how you have fixed that. But Ms. Grant, I did just want to tell you that the teachers would speak if they weren't afraid. Thank you.
Hello, my name is John Postman. I wasn't planning on speaking tonight. I wanted to come and just hear what the community had to say. I wanted to listen and just get some input. My plan was not to get up here. I heard a person use a phrase that had just been sitting in my hall. I was sitting back there, that I feel like I need to respond to. I heard some complain about our current administration and North Carolina state government having abandoned our education. This has got me almost incensed, because in our just most recent budget that was passed by your North Carolina state government, it has the largest increase in pay for the last 100 years. Let me repeat that. The biggest increase in pay for teachers in 100 years. Now, if that's what you call abandoning education, then what do you call what the Democrats did in the last 100 years? Outright destruction, maybe? I don't know. But we have the support of our administration. We don't have them abandoning us. We've got the biggest budgetary increase for teacher pay in 100 years. That's the truth. I hear lies all the time from the media, who's bought out by the unionists who are out to destroy this administration in any way they can, or whatever line they can promote. But the state government is providing for those things, like that orchestra that has done so well. They are providing the funds for the things that we do that are highlighted and all the good things that have been said tonight. We need to be sending a letter of thank you to your state representatives for what they have accomplished for us. This biggest pay raise in 100 years. Think about that. That is not an abandonment. That is our government saying, yes, I agree, teachers really are key to a good education for a child. Yes, they deserve a lot more than they've been getting. Yes, we support our educators in North Carolina.
Anyone else? And I do plan to give our two board members an opportunity to say something. I'm going to make them wait till the last. So everybody, so be thinking what you want to say if you want to. You don't have to say anything if you don't want to. But anyone else that would like to make a comment? Don't want anyone to leave and say you didn't get to speak. All right, I have questions. I'm going to ask for a show of hands. You're welcome to raise your hand if you want. This is not a vote, it's a survey. You know, we're not, that ain't it. Take that down, please. So this is not binding on anyone. It's just kind of a survey. We've got two board members here that can see what your thinking is. There's been talk tonight, comments were made about North Shelby School and auditoriums and additional classrooms for Crest and Burns. Those are fairly expensive capital projects. I think those three together would be somewhere in the $20 million range. I'm curious, personally, how many would feel comfortable with some type of bond referendum or a short-term county tax to pay for something like that? Is that about 50% or 2/3? Somebody speak up. Does that look about 2/3? Without counting? Is that a fair statement?
I would like to, my thinking on that I would support a bond thing as long as I know that we have taken care of our teachers and our administration, and that we have proved to the people, that our teachers, that we are on the right mode, and we are gaining trust by all the communities and everything like that. And I would support that 100% to get that auditorium at both of those schools and that North Shelby School, which is a very big.
Along the same line, I don't know how many of you know, when for teacher pay, there is a state portion and there's a local supplement. I can't believe I'm actually asking this question because I'm about as anti-tax as there is, but and I don't know what a half-cent or 1 cent raise in the local county tax, what that would equate to in local supplement for teachers, but would you support a local tax to increase pay for teachers? There we go. Thank you.
That's what I'm trying to say. People are supportive. Doesn't just go into the big pot and then other people decide where it goes and it doesn't wind up going where you said that's the issue.
Where did it have specific purpose?
It went to a specific purpose.
You two guys heard that. Okay. Nick? Well, that would have to be voted on by the public at large anyway. It's just.
I would rather see waste cut out before we start.
I agree with you on that. A second question here is zone representation on the school board. There's 9 members on the board. How do you feel about having two board members from each school zone? That'd be Burns Crest, Shelby Kings Mountain, and then one at large. How many would support that? That's pretty close to 100%. I'd say that's a good high 95%. I'm not going to touch that one. We'll be here for a little while. I wanted to make you aware of, this is a good showing. It's not anything for me, but I'm glad you're here and that we've got, I don't know, 50, 60 people. I've not counted. I hope somebody did. But would love for you folks, how many? 87. Okay. Would love for you to come to the board meetings. They're the second and fourth Mondays of each month. If you don't know, you can go to clevelandcountyschools.org, go under administration and click on a thing called board docs, and it will give you meeting schedules, it'll give you the agenda, and anything that is going to be discussed that night. If there's a contract on a new building, it'll have bids there, it'll have the contract. If there are contracts for services, those will be on the website. You can look at those, read those, and then come to the board meeting, and you do have 3 minutes to address the board, just like we've done tonight, and you can express your concerns to the board directly and let them know how you feel. If you have any problem finding that, ask me, ask someone that's been there before, call the school board, or call the school central services office, and they'll help you find those documents. But that'll be very helpful as you research and find out what's going on in the schools. I think it's going to be it. Is there anyone else that would like to speak before I turn the floor over? Because I'm going to hold them to 3 minutes too, thereabouts. Anyone else would like to speak?
Where did the money come from to build the new middle school?
I don't know.
So Robert doesn't be a online school to build the new Shelby school. Okay, they, got a bond, borrowed money, and it was part of, how travel can come to everything.
Mr. Harris,
The
can-
money came from building the middle school.
Hang on just a second. We've got Mr. Harris, in 30 seconds or less, could you tell us where the Shelby Middle School money came from?
Funding for school construction comes primarily from the county commissioners, and a small amount of money comes from the state. The state allots a certain amount every year for capital improvement, but the big majority of that comes from the county commissioners.
Okay. So,
They did borrow money for that as well as their borrowing grants.
Okay.
It's like $22 million out. But anyway, we did get money from the state lottery. We got like $5 million last year. And I believe that $4 million went toward the debt on the administration building. Am I right?
I don't know the answer to that.
Do you know the answer to that? We did get $5 million from the state lottery. And, I think $4 million was used toward that.
and these are outstanding questions that I would encourage you to come to a board meeting and sign up for the 3-minute participation and ask those questions directly to the board. I've got 2 of them here, and they've heard me say it before. I've asked plenty of questions to the board, and I've not gotten answers yet. But I hope that they'll see this turnout tonight and realize that the citizens of Cleveland County are interested in what's going on with the schools, and we would like to have answers when we ask questions. So it's going to be up to us, the 87 people that are here, to show up for board meetings and let them know that they're responsible to us. Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question. I'm guilty of not going to the school board meetings. I do watch them online. And I've noticed every time anybody speaks, they have the 3 minutes to speak. And they say what they want to say, but there is no feedback from the board. There's no answers. It's not addressed after that. The board listens to what everybody says, but there are no answers. Why is there no feedback is what I can't understand.
Ms. Green, can you add that to our minutes? people ask that, that's exactly what I'm saying, and it's been kind of a sore spot for me too.
The last time I asked a question, you can look it up on the internet. So if you want to know something, look it up on the internet. That's what they told me. So look it up. It's on the internet.
One thing I want to say too, I'm very appreciative for Mr. Blanton and Mr. Harris being here tonight. I'm very disappointed that I was listening last time when Mr. Blanton, brought up the suggestion of having a meeting. All the board members, took their turn speaking and whatever, and one of them said,
Let's get Mike before we can hear you.
Going up front.
I said, I'm disappointed. I'm very appreciative of Mr. Blanton and Mr. Harris being here tonight. I am disappointed that other board members have not taken the time to come. When I heard the suggestion that Mr. Blanton made about a public forum or a town hall meeting, the board discussed it, and, they went back and forth about, and it's not really, I don't think that anybody was opposed to having this meeting. I don't think it's that. They wanted it to have some structure to it and this kind of stuff. But I do remember one board member saying, well, I don't want to sit and listen to people complain. Well, this is our elected board. If we have complaints, who are we to complain to? That disappointed me. That disappointed me. Because they are our elected representatives. And if we do have complaints, then that's certainly who we are to complain to. Right.
One more before we let the board members. Mr. Moore?
I've talked to probably 6 or 8 of the
Come
school
on
board.
up here.
I'll talk loud. I'm talking about 6 or 8 of the school board members, and I'm asking the very question you did. They refuse to answer that question. They do not want to be put on the spot to have to answer a question. That is the reason they won't. They refuse to answer that question. And until people like everybody else, I've been going to school board meetings for the last year. They will not answer a question. They will say, we appreciate you coming in and giving us the information. We'll take it into consideration. They will not answer that question. And until the public starts standing up and demanding it, they're not going to.
Larry, and that's the reason I mentioned the word arrogance, because I pay attention to school board meetings, and that's why I labeled it, kind of a form of arrogance.
We've got one more. Come on up.
I'll be as brief as possible, because I have been in my frustrations in other venues. I believe we probably could talk all night. I'm Reverend Dante Murphy, pastor of Charlotte Baptist Church, and also president of the local NAACP branch, Cleveland County. I was hesitant to talk because I was so broken by a recent decision of the school board that I'm to the point that I don't know if many of the things that we're talking about tonight will be resolved in this venue. I think these are issues that are going to have to be resolved at the polls when you vote. I'm of the belief that you have some long-timers on the school board that we do need to send into retirement. Because they are our elected officials, and one of the things that I respect about the good old American way, when you run for office, You have a right to vote the way you want to vote. That's one of the great liberties that we have in America. And so, while I applaud any person who even steps out to run for office, but when they do not respect the opinions of the people, the only place you can resolve it is at the polls. And lastly, I want to echo, I am disappointed that any elected official would give the reasons that were given at the last board meeting as to why they do not want to have a public forum. That's just rock bottom pitiful to me. And so again, I can only say, I really honestly don't think all of this will be resolved in these type meetings. Come, I believe, the next year, Board of Education will be on the balance. I think that's where you have to resolve some of your issues. And so with that, I want to encourage all of you to, all 87 that was here tonight, I think that's where you really have to sound the whistle and show your dissatisfaction. Thank you.
All right, I see it's about 8:40, so I'm going to give Mr. Blanton and Mr. Harris an opportunity to voice any comments. I'm going to hold y'all pretty close to the 3 minutes instead of letting y'all run over. So I can hold y'all to a higher standard, right?
You don't even have to hold me up to standard. If you don't want to, that'd be fine. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming. Because I wanted to hear the input. I wanted to hear the praise. I wanted to hear it all. But I have heard in the last 2 weeks from over 300 teachers that they're scared for their job if they spoke out. Or there'll be a black mark put beside their name and it travels that day. I hope, like Ms. Grant, me and her had a little discussion on this last night about this box. I'd like to see, not just at the high schools, but every school. Our elementary schools, and let that teacher, she might have to send a child up there because they might have a camera on that box to see who's putting that letter in there. But they don't look at those cameras when that bullishness is going on or when that fight's taking place. We put $125,000 in most of these, each one of these schools for safety and security. And I've walked in when they're broke or when they're shut off. What good is it if it's not working? We've got enough people to have somebody monitoring that, and we catch who's doing that bullying up front. That's the way I feel. I'm not talking here as a board member, I'm talking as an individual here and a concerned citizen. That's the reason I ran. I was that board member that the gentleman met at the store. I'll just go ahead and say that. I went to the wrong school and they told me there was nothing wrong. Matter of fact, I went to Kings Mountain High School instead of North. And they didn't know anything about it, and that was the reason you got the response back from me, as I didn't know. But I did respond back to you on an email as it kept going through. But if anybody wants to call me, I'm available 24/7. If you don't believe me, ask my wife. She will tell you. 24/7. My number is 704-477-7188, and I'll have that number till I'm dead, or y'all vote me out. I will go to bat for you. I will stand for you. I'll stand for every parent. I will stand for every teacher in Cleveland County. I will stand for every teacher's assistant in Cleveland County. But if I find anybody misusing funds, I'm going to town with it, and I'm going to the press. Please. Well, these teachers is needing raises. Now I'm talking about the legal. And these teachers' assistants. The House on teachers' assistants voted to leave teachers' assistants all in place, not to take nothing away. The Senate did not do that. We've got that newsletter today. We've got it somewhere. If anybody wants to get on the representatives' mailing list, let me know, and I'll make sure you get it, and you'll know what's going on down there. But we have had money sent to us that could go to teachers' assistants or go to teachers. If we choose to move it, we can move it, shift it from one pot to another pot. It can be done. Are you taking away from something? Yes. Well, where's your priorities at? Our priorities is our teachers that's teaching our kids. Let our teachers do their job instead of somebody else trying to tell them that might not know how what they're doing. Let our teachers and teachers' assistants do their job. And I believe our children will do better. And let's get back to our basics. Let's learn them reading and writing and a little cursive writing. See, I can't write good, can't spell good, but I'll add with you. I'll count to 100 with anybody in here. Thank you. In the district, every school, let's set one of these things up, and that's how. I'll be there.
I just wanted a point of information. What I really meant was to have the boxes there so all of the schools could come to one site to put all their suggestions. So nobody has to complain that they have to go to every school to pick up the boxes and then they just sit there. I don't think it should only be high school teachers. We have to hear from everybody.
Hire me to do it.
Mr. Harris, have a comment?
I'm like to say, although the proposed school goal that I would write didn't read, that's one of the sections I had. The teachers and any school employee should not fear retaliation. They should be able to say what they need to say and not be retaliated against. That's in those goals, and I would urge everybody that except we. So read that and this will be, in the minutes of the meeting and elsewhere. That's all it is. Because teachers are afraid of teachers. I've got a lot of
We're going to go ahead with Mr. Harris. Would you like to make a comment?
Robert, I just need about 20 seconds. I came to listen, didn't come to talk. I can't imagine anything more boring than listening to a politician, unless it's watching Paraguay and Germany play soccer. But anyway, that's I appreciate you coming out, and I appreciate the comments. I've taken notes, and I will share this with the other board members as well. And I know that you have a secretary taking notes, and I'll share it with the other board members. Thank you for your time.
That's all we have. You're welcome to mill around and talk and socialize. When do we need to be out, Pastor Davis? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.